Hey guys, the last couple weeks I've been working on something that I've been meaning to work on for the last couple years, and that is my poker coaching service. It's something I've been wanting to do since I've basically started playing poker and turning a profit because what happened was I got into YouTube just to be transparent with you guys. I got into YouTube because I really wanted to share my knowledge of poker and just talk about the game that I love and the game that has really breathed new life into me and has given me really a purpose to my life. I have coached a few players in the past, and I think I did. I got a lot out of it. I really liked it, and this is really where I want to. From the beginning, this is where I wanted to go with poker. I have a background in teaching. I did go to college to teach actually English and writing, but I could never really get a grasp on it like I did like with poker. So here is just a quick little presentation that I wanted to share with you guys who are interested in some coaching that is going to just it's a brief overview of what my coaching is going to be. I do also want to, before I get into the content, tell you a little bit what this coaching is focused on. It's going to be two things. The first is going to be affordability. A lot of online poker coaching is very expensive, and my main goal, especially in this beginning stages, is to work with you with pricing. So if you have pricing issues and you want to talk to me about affordability, I do have a standard rate, but I do want to work with you and make you a better poker player. And if money is in the way between that, because a lot of players, especially in the beginning, are playing micro stakes, and let's just say some coach is charging 150 bucks an hour. That could be 100 buy-ins. That could be 50 buy-ins, 20 buy-ins for someone. And I don't want that to be the case. So let's work together with pricing. And the second thing, I can't overstate how much I want to focus on this, and that's the big picture, understanding strategy from the outside and how it looks on every single decision node, how it looks on every single decision that we are making. That poker isn't just a series of small little decisions, that there is an overall cohesive idea that these decisions add up to. And the other main focus is just the big picture of Hold'em strategy. I believe that a lot of coaching gives you a good framework of how to play the game, but maybe not the entire big picture of what strategy should be looking like at all levels of play. And sort of my job as a coach is to is to guide you in a direction so that eventually you don't need me, that you understand it from the big picture, and I'm going to talk more about that later. So here's the content of the rest of this video. My poker coaching will be consisting of, we'll go over your goals as a poker player and assessing your skill level. Then we will be going into understanding what expected value is, where it comes from, understanding pot odds and how it pertains to strategy. We'll be going into pre-flop ranges, what hands to play, and then we will go into the flop and what simplifying our strategy will look like so that we could understand the entire big picture of our entire strategy. We will definitely be going over hand histories, be focusing mostly on that. It would be great if you have your own hand histories. If not, I will be able to provide you with some and or play against you. And then the last thing, we will be looking ahead and see what we're doing for the future. If you are an absolute beginner and need to understand the basics of probability theory, what the 52 card deck looks like, and card odds, I will be going over that too. Also, if you're new and you need to know the ranking of cards and um, how the game works in general, we will be going over that too, and we will be foregoing any of this more advanced stuff. But that's for the absolute beginners. First, what are your goals to become a poker player? This is sort of the questions I'm going to ask you when we first start the lesson. Um, I think I would like to get your take on how would you describe your skill level and your type of play style. Again, I'll think as a good coach, and I've learned this sort of from being an athlete back in the day. The best coaches don't try to make a cookie cutter version of themselves into their players. They try to take their players' strengths and weaknesses and tweak them and exemplify their strengths and minimize their weaknesses. Not everyone's going to have the same play style as me, and I want to find your play style and your goals in poker and tweak it to make it your best way of of winning and of you becoming a winning player. Our goal eventually always will be to be a winning player. So there's going to be spots in the game where you will be playing similarly to a lot of people, but that's because it's going to be optimal, and we'll get into that later. So that's the first thing we're going to go over. The second thing, and these are just rough, like this is just a really basic formula for EV, and this is the pot odds formula, but this is just an example of the beginning, the basis of what poker strategy is going to be. Um, I don't want you guys just to memorize these and just go on with your day. I really want you to completely understand what EV is and what pot odds are and why they are so important and integral to poker strategy. Um, I I want my students, like all good poker players, to be thinking of this every single time you're dealt a hand and you're seeing a flop or opening the pot, etc. I don't want you just to like brush these concepts off, and we're going to spend as little or as much time as you need on this particular part of poker strategy, because I think if you can't understand what EV, where EV comes from, and you can't understand how it pertains to pot odds, and eventually the more advanced version of pot odds, which would be the minimum defense frequency and the reciprocal of that being the optimal bluffing frequency, um, and why the entire big picture, as I keep saying, the entire big picture of poker are based mainly on EV, but EV is also based on other things, which is the pot odds, minimum defense frequency, etc. I really want you guys to understand these concepts fully. Again, I don't want you. This is not about memorization. This is about complete understanding of these concepts. And I've just provided a little cheat sheet that I got from Upswing Poker. Pre-flop strategy. So I want you guys to understand that you can't go anywhere in poker before you you understand pre-flop and the why of pre-flop. So we're not going to just memorize the pre-flop ranges and go from there. I want to dissect pre-flop and again make you understand completely the ideas behind why the pre-flop strategy is the way that it is. It comes down to EV obviously, but again, big picture, full understanding before we go anywhere. And then we'll go into flop, and we're gonna simplify our flop strategy to only one or two bets and checking, usually only one bet. And that's another thing I want all my students to do is simplify their strategy. Now we don't have to do one or two bets for everyone if that's not your style. If you want to play a little bit more loose in terms of not loose as in more hands, but more not such a rigid strategy. I'm all about working with you with that. But I do think that like simplifying our strategy will help you understand the game more concisely, especially in the beginning. And then we're gonna go over hand histories. Of course, this is like the way to like um, plug leaks, understand poker, get a sense of where you're going, how you're approaching the game. If you are very new to poker and you need to know what a hand history is and how to write a good hand history, we'll go over that with you. Most of the lessons are going to probably pertain to going over hand histories unless you are getting caught up on the expected value and pot odds part of the lesson. The future of poker and the theory is going to come down to game theory optimal strategy, using a solver and see what two computers who are perfect mathematical machines, how they would play poker. And this will be later on once we get everything else ironed out. And lastly, here's my contact info. If you guys are interested in this, if this is something that you would love to do, some one-on-one poker coaching, probably prefer email and Twitter, but whatever's easiest for you, I'm going to try to accommodate for you guys. Most of my lessons are going to be in hour blocks, and I do have a standard rate that we will talk about once you contact me. And let's work on making you guys the best poker players you can be. Thank you, and I hope to see you in the future. Keep on grinding.